Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I got another great guest coming to us all the way from New Jersey. This guy is a psychic medium. I'm super pumped to talk to him. Artie Hoffman joins the show. Artie, thanks for joining.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So, being a psychic medium, let's talk about that a little bit there. What made you want to do that? Was it just something you felt that you knew you had, or was it something that you wanted to get into it? So tell the people about a little bit what you do.
Well, I fell into this when I was 27 years old. I had no inkling whatsoever that I was capable of being a psychic or a medium. A psychic is someone who could predict your past, present, and future, and or talk about your past, present, and future. And there are no boundaries as far as, what topics I go to. The only thing I don't discuss is when people are going to die. That's not my forte. But I could tell people about their love life, their personal life, their medical stuff, legal stuff, you name it, business advice. I mean, I get answers from up above, and I didn't go to college at all for any of this. I went to a one weekend seminar. That was it. And I was so fascinated that I was capable of doing it that it just drove me to want to do it more and more. And so, back in the day, I started you're going to get a kick out of this. I started a window cleaning, power washing business about 41 years ago. And the name of the business is called Peeping Tom's Window Cleaning. So here I am. I'm 27 years old now. I'm married, a nice house. Everything's going great. Lots of friends, doing decently financially, yada, yada, yada. But I still wasn't fulfilled. I still wasn't fulfilled as far as what was going on in my life. And as far as I kept on debating whether if I should even be in my marriage or not, like I didn't know. And I just got married, and I don't know. I was just very confused. So I'm having a little conversation with God, and I said, God, I need answers. I need clear answers. I said, please don't scare the hell out of me when you give me the answers. And those were my exact words to him. And so I go into my kitchen after that little conversation, and I'm going through my junk mail, and there was a postcard, and it said, how would you like to develop your psychic ability and intuitiveness? Come to the Edgar Casey Foundation for this one weekend seminar in Virginia Beach. I said, wow. I said, that's pretty cool. And so I asked my wife, who was my wife at the time, I said, you want to try this? This looks pretty cool. She says, I don't give a shit about this. She says, you can go if you want. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. So I went away, and there's about 50 of us from all different parts of the country in this one large room at the Edgar Casey Foundation. And they taught you how to open up your heart and mind to be 100% unconditional with your thoughts and your feelings. So they broke us up into little groups, and people were telling me how accurate I was with what I was getting off of them or feeling. And I was so blown away that I was capable of doing this. I said, this is amazing. So I went home, and I got myself a deck of cards. No, I don't have it on my person. I got myself a deck of cards, and I was reading for friends and family for a few years just for the fun of it. And again, people were telling me how accurate I was. So I got to a point in my life, because of my investments, I needed to come up with a few $1,000s, like fast cash, in regards to investment that I was in. And I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm thinking to myself, what can I do to earn some extra money? And so all of a sudden, out of left field, I'm thinking, you know what? I do readings. I said, I'll just throw an ad in the paper. And it said, if I don't pull through, no charge. So 90% of the people paid me. 10% of the people I had to kill. I don't let anybody get away with anything, I tell you. I'm a nice guy, but only so far. No, but literally 90% of the people paid me for my services, and I was fine with that. And through word of mouth and uh, just by some more advertising, a whole career just came out of it. And it was an amazing trip. It really was. And I wrote a couple of books. One is called Have Your Angels Call My Angels. And the other one is called Angels and Answers. And yeah, so those books are literally life changers. So when people read my books, they literally, some people have actually say, Artie, this is my Bible, this is my Bible. And what I do is I wrote about so many deep thoughts and subjects that people are always thinking about in regards to love relationships, as far as their life, as far as God, as far as spirituality, as far as, I mean, a lot of things of what you would want to ask God, or why bad things happen to good people and why good things happen to bad people. So I explained that in the book as well. And I wrote the books in a very, very simplistic fashion so that everyone could understand what it is I'm talking about. So I talk about deep subjects, but you'll be able to understand the meaning of it, everything I'm saying. It's not going to go above anyone's head, because I always sucked at school. So I write how I think. And the funny thing is, I was just telling my brother the other day, growing up through junior high and high school, I always wanted to become a therapist, but I sucked at school. So I mean, the teachers liked me, and my peers liked me. I had no problem with it. School to me was a total social breeding ground, I'll tell you. And but as far as scholastic, I was average at best, and sometimes not even that. But I wasn't a truant person, but it is what it is. So, you know, so I didn't go to college, but in one of my books, it says I went to the University of Boston, Maryland for 2 years, but that was just to visit my friends. So the interesting thing is, like I said to you, you know, I always wanted to become a therapist and all, but I sucked at school and I didn't have patience for it, and the money to go for so many years and to get the master's. It just was not me. So the interesting thing is, now I have therapists who come to see me for answers.
That's a kind of a interesting twist into everything.
Yeah, I mean, people have asked me situations medically, and I didn't go to Harvard or Yale. They asked me about their pets. They asked me about their loved ones. But, you know, the thing that qualifies me as far as a really good therapist and with relationships and everything else, not to mention predicting people's future love and all that stuff. I just communicate with the spiritual world, and they just give me all the answers. It's like looking at the back of the book, you know, and it's about having a passion for it. Anytime you're passionate about somebody or something, I mean, anytime you're passionate about something, you're going to do well at it. You are, if you have that drive and that passion, even without going to college or whatever. But, you know, you'll learn on the job. You know, you'll learn whatever it is you're doing. It's not just psychics. It could be a teacher, it could be a mechanic, a lawyer, whatever it is. If you have a passion and a drive, you are going to make it happen. So it's not, I hope to make it happen. I wonder if I'm going to make it happen. No, but when you have a strong will, it will happen. So I had a strong will, and here I am 33 years later, I'm doing this, and I've read for over 33,000 people in my life. So it's been pretty interesting. And I have like one cool story after another that I want to share with you. And if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was, when Steve got us in contact with one another, I was super excited to talk to you. And
just to let everybody know, Steve is the producer.
Yes.
So when you say Steve, you and I know who Steve is, but Steve is the producer who put us together so I could be on your show.
Yeah. I've talked about him in previous episodes too as well, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that though. But I mean, yeah, I mean, when he kind of got us together and he told me kind of what you do, I was super interested, and I was like, I got to talk to this guy. I've watched stuff on TVs that kind of portray psychic mediums. I'm a big fan of ghost hunting shows. Those really interest me, and they have psychic mediums on there all the time. And I was like, kind of want to pick one of their brains a little bit and just kind of see, how it is they do what they do. And I would love to hear some stories from you. That would be a huge interest to me, and I'm sure a lot of my listeners.
Yeah. So here I am, besides doing individual readings, where people come into my place, or I do FaceTime or whatever, I'm just as accurate over the phone as I am in person. It makes no difference. It's not about the the physicality of being in someone's presence for me to read them really well or not. I'm able to read anybody under any circumstances. Just about the only time it's difficult to read somebody is if there's a lot of loud music going on in the area. Then the sound and the music and the energy of the music, it's like kind of taken away from what you're trying to connect. So it's always best when I'm in a very quiet place for me to do what I do. And so I was doing one of my parties. People hire me for psychic parties. I call them Artie parties. So people hire me to go to their places to read for them. So here I am. I'm reading for this one woman. And I was connecting to her mother. All right. Now, when I connect to people's loved ones, they usually show me a picture of what loved one they want to communicate to. So here I am giving this person all this information, yada, 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 about her mother. And after the reading was over, she said to me, she goes, all right. She goes, I'm having a hard time believing that you're actually communicating to my mother. She said, there were some general things that you said that could pertain to anybody, but I do admit it did have to do with my mother. But you also mentioned certain details about my mother that nobody else knew. But yet I'm still having a hard time that it was actually your mother that was, giving you this information that you're actually communicating to my mom. So I said to her, I can only share with you what the spiritual world gives to me. I said, I can't, I don't make this stuff up. I just tell you what's in my thoughts. Spiritual world will send me messages in my thoughts, and I just, relay the message. So anyway, I said, let me look at your mother's picture one more time. Because her time was up at this point. And usually I'm like, boom, I'm right on the, because I have one person after another. But I'm glad I did. So I'm looking at her mother's picture. I said, your mom is showing me cows. She goes, what do you want me to do with that? I said, I don't know. Your mom is showing me cows. So in my eyes mind, I saw all the cows standing up and they were all mooing. So I said to her, I don't know why I'm doing this to you, but moo. And she started to cry. And I said, what's the matter? And she points to her mother's picture. She goes, that's her name. I go, what are you talking about? Her name's Muriel, but everyone would call her Moo.
Wow. That's insane.
So that's something I couldn't make out, why didn't they just say, hey, I'm Muriel? Because it's all about, blind faith. It's all about what I do is totally blind faith. And just because I do what I do, I'm not better than anybody else just because I have this ability. Well, other than my two brothers, I'm better than them. But other than that, I'm better than nobody else. So this lady comes walking into my apartment, into my place. And she said to me, Art, and she was covered with tattoos from like neck all the way down her entire body. She was a tattooaholic. And she said to me, she goes, Art, I've been thinking about you every single day for the last 2 years. So I'm flattered, but I don't know from what angle she's talking to me about.
Right.
And I said to her, I said, all right. I said, why were you thinking about me for 2 years? I'm just curious. And she goes, you read for me here 2 years ago. And I don't remember who I read for or what I say. I have, my memory totally sucks. I mean, unless if there's something extreme, unusual about a situation, then I don't remember anything. It's for my own protection. Right. So I'm not remaining connected to everybody else's garbage in life or situations in life. So I said, why were you thinking of me for the last 2 years? She says, you gave a reading for me here 2 years ago, and you held my hand. And as soon as you held my hand, you started singing the song by AC/DC, Highway to Hell. I'm going to highway to hell. So you looked at me and you said, if I don't change my ways, if I don't stop doing what I'm doing, I'm going to get caught real soon and I'm going to get thrown in jail. You told me that. And she goes, a week later, after I left you 2 years ago, after I left you, a week later, I did something I should not have been doing, and I got caught and I got thrown in jail for 2 years. And every day I woke up and I said, why didn't I listen to Artie? Why didn't I listen to Artie? And so I give messages to people, and could it change people's lives? Yeah, sometimes it's a great thing. Well, I don't think it's ever a bad thing because I'm giving people heads up. So it can literally change your life forever, these messages. So, I have this blessing to be able to help people to get through some things. Now, she didn't have to experience going to jail. She really didn't. But because she chose not to listen to the message, she went. It's like me saying, you know what? I wouldn't be traveling tonight if I were you, because I see you getting in an accident. This isn't a prediction that I'm saying to you. I'm just saying the story. So, and I'll look at say this one person, I said precipitation. I'm seeing lots of precipitation. I'm seeing a very busy intersection, and someone's going to be blowing right through the light when you're supposed to be going. I said, be very, very, very careful if you're going to drive tonight. And if I were you, I'd probably just stay home and avoid it altogether. Now, no news is good news. So if they just stayed home, or if they did play extra caution while driving, then all right, yeah, so you missed out on a life changer, But then again, if you want to just say, frig it, screw it, I don't care, I'm just going to do my thing anyway, and then shit happens. Now, there are times where I read for people and say they got in a car accident after their reading was over or whatnot, and say, Artie, why didn't you tell me that? I said, well, then you were meant to go through it. I can't protect everybody from everything, but I do get messages when I am being told to tell somebody of a bad situation. And it could also be about a relationship. There was a fellow who was once sharing an apartment, my apartment with me. He took one room, I had the other. And he goes, all right. And he goes, what do you see with my girlfriend? I said, I'd be careful if I were you. I said, because I see her getting really angry and I see her hurting you really, really bad. I mean, really bad. I said, watch out. And so the next day, his girlfriend came over the next evening, and they were wailing on each other as far as yelling and screaming. And she got so angry with him, she literally bit into his arm through the skin and everything. And his bicep, his muscles and everything were actually hanging out a little bit and stuff. And I said to him, be careful of that with her, because I see her hurting. Now, how, I didn't see, but I just saw him getting hurt. And he had to be rushed to the hospital, and his arm was all in bad. I mean, now he's okay. I mean, it's years later, his arm's healed, and thank God everything's okay. But yeah, when I see things, but I also see really good things. So I was doing again, an Artie party, and I was reading for this one lady who's probably about 10 years older than me. And she says, Art, she says, before you start, I have to stop you and explain something to you. I said, okay. She said, you read for me at this party 2 years ago, at this person's house, and because this was her second party she was having. And you told me that I need to go to Atlantic City or start playing scratch offs because you saw me winning thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You saw me winning tens of thousands of dollars. And I told you at that time that I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble. She goes, and I still don't gamble. But this is what happened. She goes, 6 months later, after that party, after that reading, was my birthday. And so my sons, she had 3 boys. She has 3 boys. My sons came over to help celebrate, and their family help celebrate my birthday. So one of my sons gave me the 5, those $2 birthday scratch offs. She goes, and on my first $2 birthday scratch off, she goes, I won $50,000.
That is insane.
So yeah, so that's pretty cool when stuff like that happens. And I've given people, see, now if somebody asks me for the winning lottery number, I can't give it. I just can't. I just don't have it in me. But if it comes to me naturally, spiritually, while I'm in a reading and I see numbers, like I gave somebody numbers today and I gave somebody numbers yesterday, but it just came through. I just saw the numbers and I shared it with them. And but I've given people pick 3s, pick 4s, and I've gotten lots, and I've given well over 100 winning lottery numbers easily in my career. And so people, text me, hey, Art, guess what? Like there was a girl about a month ago, 3 weeks to a month ago, I gave her a number in a reading. I don't give numbers to every single person. It's a rarity I give numbers, but when I do, and she says, you gave me, my mom pulled through and she gave me these numbers for me to play. And so I took your advice and I played those numbers and it came out. So she said, I just wanted you to know and say thank you. So that's good.
That's an amazing story. At least there, how many good stories would you say you get toward the bad? Is it pretty even, or do you have more good stories versus bad stories or readings and that and all that? And can you tell right off the bat if it's going to be a positive or negative, or is it just come to you in that moment?
99% are positive.
Good.
Right. Now, when I say positive, even when I have to tell somebody, I'll give you an example, bad news, even bad news is good news. I'll give you an example. So again, I'm at a party, and as I'm sitting down at the table in the chair, the girl's walking right by me so she could sit down at her chair. And I heard a voice in my head, and he said, he's not for you. He's not for you. So I looked at her and I said, you're in a relationship? She said, yes. I said, are you engaged? She goes, yes. I said, how engaged are you? She said, we have 50% down on the hall, 50% down on the dress, on the band. I said, wow, this girl's they're really invested. Wow. I said, I hate to tell you this. I said, but I don't feel like he's for you. Now, even though that was bad news for her, but it was good news because I was giving her a wake-up call. I mean, the guy never treats her right. He doesn't treat her well, Right. And so she was calm throughout the whole time. She didn't lose it. But as soon as her reading was over, because after her reading, I took a break because I already read for a few people at that point. So I come walking out. And so the hostess of the party says, all right, Michelle came out of that room crying her eyes out, and she just left the house. She didn't want to talk to anybody. And she goes, you told her what all her friends were telling her, that she shouldn't be with this guy, that he's an a-hole, and that, he's just not, he doesn't treat her well, blah, 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 blah. And you told her the same thing, and it's what she didn't want to hear. And so that was good news, though, because it was a wake-up call. And so, do I tell bad news? Like I said, even bad news is good news, because I will share with people how to overcome their obstacles. I won't just drop a bomb on somebody and say, oh, you're in, you're shit out of luck. You're screwed. And no, but I'll give them the answers on how to change their perception on dealing with the person or dealing with the situation, or tell them not to do something, or I would do this if I were you, So I give a lot of advice from a spiritual point of view to be able to, help them get through major life situations. Every Sunday night, I do a Facebook live show called Angels and Answers, Artie Hoffman's Angels and Answers. and I read people for free for that 1 hour. They're allowed to type in one question. And then, my assistant, because I have an assistant on the show, and she'll just randomly choose to read random people, like we read a dozen, maybe about 10 to a dozen questions per show. And then I talk about life and stuff, and I joke around a lot. So during my show, whenever girls ask me, Artie, do you see me getting pregnant? My common response to them is, yeah, once you stop watching my show and get in the bedroom, I said, your odds are going to go way up.
So it's good that you find the humor in things too as well. Because a lot of people probably think that, psychic mediums are either all or nothing, either all serious or not. I mean, it's good to find humor. I mean, I've always been one who have said, laughter is the best medicine. And,
It is.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. Little story about that. Met my wife at work. It was close to a decade ago. We've been married now 5 years, and she's had a heart condition since she was 16. She's had 4 heart surgeries since she was 16 years old. And that just wasn't getting worse, but it wasn't getting any better. And so recently she was at her cardiologist, and he asked her, he goes, what are you doing? She goes, what do you mean? He goes, have you changed diet, anything? What are you doing? She goes, I don't know. He goes, your numbers are improving. You're getting better. Your heart's looking healthier. She goes, what are you doing? He goes, what have you changed in your life? She goes, well, I got a divorce a couple of years ago, and now I'm with this new guy, and we're engaged and getting married, and he's a stand-up comedian, and he makes me laugh all the time. Like, he's just constantly cracking jokes, and he makes me laugh. And he goes, hang on to him, because he's improving your health just by making her laugh. And since then, it's like,
well, also feeling love, getting love and support and having that chemistry, and besides the laughter. So yeah, all of that definitely helps a lot. It definitely helps a lot. Yeah.
And since then, I mean, it really made me want to push harder to be a stand-up comedian, and to do that, because if I can affect one people, who's to say I can't affect a room full of people?
Yeah, of course.
So you said you do these over FaceTime too as well. I mean, your readings and all that.
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time.
So I mean, I know you kind of briefly touched on it, but how does that work, really, being not physically in the same room?
It's not about me, and it's not about the person. It's the spiritual world who has all the information. We all have guardian angels. I have the Holy Spirit. I have your loved ones who passed away, and they literally feed me thoughts into my head about the person. There are times where I'll do a string of readings or a party or something, and at times I'll bring my mother's picture. My parents both passed years ago. So I'll bring a picture of my mother, who I was extremely close with. And so while I'm sitting with whoever I'm sitting with, I'll look at my mother's picture, and my mom will tell me all about the person who I'm reading for. And she would say, tell her this and tell her that and tell her this and tell her that. And I would tell them, and they said, your mom is right. Your mom is right. So it's pretty cool, to be able to get the messages like that too. So there's many different ways. So like I said, we are not of our body. Your body that you're in right now, it's not who you are. Your soul and spirit is who you are. And your soul and spirit is like renting your body. And then once your body dies, once your body retires, then your soul and spirit lifts right out and goes into the other dimensions of life, which is heaven. And they communicate to me, earth here on earth, it's all in the physical content. But outside of this world, or outside of our body, the spiritual world, it's limitless. It's like, you think having cell phones and putting satellite in space and the car and the inventions, I mean, that's nothing compared to what's out there in the spiritual world. That's like second grade stuff, so And I strongly believe that aliens have come out here on Earth on a regular basis to help make things happen for us that's beyond the human abilities. One of them, I strongly feel that it was the aliens from other planets that have literally built the pyramids, as an example, because they didn't have the technology that we have for machines and all that stuff. And those stones are just way too thick and way too solid to be moved by, I don't care how many men there are, but to move that there, so, and everything is 100% perfect in the dimensions from one point to the other, to the other, to the other. And what is it? The pyramid, one of the pyramids of Egypt is exactly the center of the Earth's gravity, like where it was built. And before the human calendar came out, as we know it, 365 days of the year, the pyramid is measured exactly in all four directions, 365. I don't know what it is, the measurements, but it is exactly 365 meters, 365 yards or whatever, but it's perfect in all ways. So like I said, aliens do come here to help us with our technology and to help us with just awesome things. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that that you can get an object to fly in the air that heavy as a plane. It's ridiculous to go that fast, or a rocket ship to travel millions of miles away from Earth and to land back safely. It's amazing to have the sun perfectly 97 million miles away, literally, and to give us just enough heat so that we don't burn to death or freeze our asses off to smithereens. It's just absolutely amazing that there really is a higher being, and we just need to tap into it. The people who have the shittiest life are the ones that stop believing in God or a higher source or the angels, or having that positive belief system. When things are not going your way, that's when you need to believe more. But when things are not going your way and you're really upset because, say, somebody who you really love died at an early age, or a lot of horrific things are happening, or abuse, or I mean, it goes on and on and on. And with all the bull crap that's going on in the world now, so for some people, it's hard to believe that, well, why would God allow this to happen? And the truth of the matter is that God gave everybody free will. See, even my bird's excited to have a parakeet. Sorry about that.
No, you're all right.
So God gave everybody free will, and it's by our choice that allows everything to happen or not to happen, by human consciousness. So, God loves us unconditionally, and he gave us free will, and he allows us to do with whatever we want. So for everyone who's watching right now, God did not curse you or stop you from cursing, or stop you from having that affair. He didn't stop you from hurting somebody else or whatever. He doesn't stop you in your actions, but hopefully there's enough love in your heart to make healthy decisions so you don't. So you have your ego and your soul that is a part of your life. And so if you pay attention to your soul, your good instincts will always guide you in the right direction. But the ego of the mind, we want what we want, even though if it's not good for us. But if you work your will strong enough, God will allow that to happen. It's not always, well, listen, if it's within God's will, so it will be. And that's not always the case. If it's within your will, when you have control of your life situations, if it's within your will, then it's within God's will. And then again, he'll help open doors. But there are things that are out of your control. And you could say if it's within God's will, but like I said, the ego wants what it wants. So it's like, all right, so you want to go on a special diet, or you want to lose weight, So it's like your ego is saying, you know what, screw the diet. Let's start tomorrow. Or let's start next week and stuff. You know, so your body wants the sugars, you want the carbs, you want all that fun food. And your soul is saying, but it's hurting me. So when you're not paying attention to your gut feelings, when you're not paying attention to your soul, your body reacts. And your body reacts by getting sick or breaking out in hives or whatever. You could lose hair or whatever. When you're, you know, well, losing hair is also genetics, but stress causes a lot of health issues, all our health issues. It's all emotionally based. So you can say, well, no, I got a cold, or because my kid had a cold, I had a cold. But yes, because your immune system isn't strong enough. You didn't allow your immune system to be strong enough to overcome whatever's around you. So there's a beautiful saying that I saw not too long ago. And it said, the fire that's within me is stronger than the fire that surrounds me. And that's how I survive.
That's a great message and a great quote. I've never heard that one, but I agree with that 150%.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try something. Now I know me and Steve were talking, and just so that everyone can kind of experience this, would you be able to do a reading on me through Zoom? Just a quick little one.
Yeah. Okay. You know, when I read people, I blank out my thoughts, and then I just wait for messages just to come around. There are certain people in your life who believe that you are stronger or bigger than what you are, or you have more than what you have, because I see people around you that put you on a pedestal or look at you like you have so much or whatnot. And so therefore, they're always asking of you, or can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And they're always wanting of you and wanting of you and wanting of you. And you're like, get out of here, get out of here. It's like flies all over, get out of here. It's like, what's the big deal? You got it. It's like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? And you're finding it very disrespectful and very annoying. And it's like, yeah, it's just like people have a perception of you that you have life by the balls. And maybe at times you do, and at times you don't. But I just see people feeling, well, why can't you help me out? And then they start getting angry at you or upset with you because you're not willing to help them out. And it's like, dude, it's not that I don't want to. It's like, either I don't have the resources, I don't have the time, or I can't help you out. I can help you out, but not in the way that you want, or not as much. And so, you know, I feel like you don't always get the respect of your personal circumstances in life, because again, people assume a lot of you from you. And it's like, there's something about your persona that's misleading to certain people in your life that kind of, I don't know, or you got all this freedom, or you have all this time, or you can help me with this. And it's like, no, I can't. You think I do, but I don't. I need to do this. I need to do that. And it's like, they don't understand because they haven't been in your shoes, but from where they stand, they feel like, oh, you could do this, you could do that. And it's like, dude, I can't, you know, sorry. So I feel like you're misunderstood in many ways.
That's actually spot on. This past year, from January till about 3 weeks ago, I was unemployed. Coronavirus hit last year. It really took a hit on my comedy career. Picked up a day job, and well, 3 weeks ago. But in that 10 months that I wasn't working, people would come to me more often than not. And they knew I wasn't working, and they knew shows were been canceled and stuff like that because of, you know, everything that's going on in the world. And they were like, well, you got all the time in the world. You're just a comedian. You can definitely help me with that. And I don't think people really understand what goes into being a comedian. Like, it's not just I sit around the house all day and then I go to a show. No, like I do a lot of stuff. And obviously this show is one of them. And that, yeah, I've had a lot of people, and I've actually lost some people that I thought were pretty good friends because I couldn't help them. And it wasn't that I didn't want to, I just physically and everything couldn't. That's
You weren't in a position to do so.
yeah, that's 100% spot on, and that's amazing.
So yeah, and it's a shame because, you know, so many people, too many people are afraid to lose certain people in their life with relationships, whether it be family, whether it be personal relationships, friends, whatever. The bottom line is people who are going to love you unconditionally. You only want people who love you unconditionally in your life. Other people, a lot of times people love you with conditions that if you don't meet up to their expectations, you know what, I'm out of here. I don't need you, or I don't want you in my life. You know, it's like, or, you know, as far as even with family circumstances, you know, well, if you're talking to that side of the family, I figured I'm not talking to you. Or if you're still staying with that partner of yours, that's it. Screw it. I'm not going to be with, you know, it's like all these conditions that people put on one another. If you really love me, then you'll do this. No, don't put that crap on me. I love you, and that's it. If I don't do everything that you say and you leave, it's like, well, all right, well, those are your issues, not mine.
Yeah, I've
But
always,
people who love you unconditionally are going to stand by your side, and the people who are going to badger you or leave you because of you're not meeting up to their expectations, then it's like, you know what, I don't need you in my life then.
right. I agree with that 100%. I've always said, people are like, oh, you probably have a million friends and all this. You were pretty popular in high school, so you probably have all these friends. I was like, no, I got a strong 2 friends that I know no matter what. One was out of the country for 4 years and was finally able to get back when the pandemic finally slowed down a little bit and travel started to be allowed. He was finally able to get back into the country. And the first thing he did when he got on the ground here in the United States was he messaged me and said, I'm home. And given I haven't been able to physically go and see him, but I hadn't been able to talk to this guy in 3 years. And first words out of his mouth, and the first person he texted, not even his parents or anything like that, he texted me and told me, hey, I'm home. I'm in West Virginia right now, where I grew up. And to me, that says volumes to him as a person and as one of my friends, because he took the time to let me know he was back in the country so that we could finally find a way to connect again. And given it was over FaceTime and everything like that, because that was the means that we had, but it was something that I knew right then and there, like, that's a true friend.
Not including the fact that you owed him $1,000 and said, hey, I'm home. You got that $1,000 you owe me.
I probably owe him a lot more than that. It's in all honesty.
Plus interest.
Oh, but Artie, this has been great. We are running down near the end of the show, and one thing I like to do at the end of every show with all my guests is give them the floor for however long they needed to get themselves out there. Where can people find you? Anything like that? Anything you want to get out with your books or anything like that? The floor is yours, my man.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, like I said earlier, I have a Facebook live show that I do every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I read people for free. And I connect to people's loved ones, and I talk to people about their love life and everything, whatever topic that you want to talk about. And like, as they see now, you know, I joke around a lot while I'm doing my thing that I do. I tell people I don't know if you ever heard of Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. So she has her own national television show where she did, you know, tall, she has like big blonde Staten Island hair, Brooklyn hair, Staten Island hair, whatever. And she's a really good medium. She is. So she has her own show. So I tell people I'm a lot like Teresa Caputo and Billy Crystal all wrapped up in one. I'm like a psychic and a comedic, and that's the way I like it. You know, I like to joke around. When I do my live shows, I do live shows at restaurants or different venues. I performed at casinos and stuff. And again, I give valuable information and joke around a lot too. So, and I have my 2 books, Angels and Answers, and Have Your Angels Call My Angels. And they really are game changers for people's lives. You're going to get a lot of aha moments, like, oh my God, that's how I feel. Or, oh yes, somebody who finally understands my feelings, my emotions, and they're able to put words into it. It's amazing. So it goes pretty deep, and you can get that on artiehoffman.com, or you could get it on amazon.com, like you can get everything else. And what else? Oh, and I would love for everyone to join me on TikTok. I have, it's Artie Hoffman with 5 7s, Artie Hoffman 77777. I think I said enough of them. So if I get at least 1,000 followers, and if you could share it with everybody, if I get at least 1,000 followers, that means I could do a live show with having at least 1,000 TikTokers. So if anybody could sign up, that would be great. What else? Yeah, and so I do my private parties. If you're buying, I'm flying. I travel all over the place, and I'm here in New Jersey. So if anybody wanted a private reading in person, and I'm just as accurate over the phone, you can always call me at 732-778-7173. And then you can join Artie Hoffman at Gmail. You can email me. So those are the ways to reach me for my services and what I do. And I tell people the truth, and it's as simple as that. So, and I'm a blast, man. You can have my time. Me and you, half hour straight up or an hour straight up, whatever you want. So, but I want to thank you so much, Mike, for having me on your show.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time and you know, going into what you do. I've always been fascinated with psychic mediums and psychics and all that. So I was super pumped to talk to you, and just your comedic spin on everything is, I think, makes you the best one out there that I've known and I've talked to. This was a real pleasure. But that is going to do it, everybody, for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. As always, if you like the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you don't. That's going to do it for me. Artie, thank you again. And I will see you all next week.
Awesome.